Oasis Audio presents The Good Neighbor by Maxwell King. Read for you by Levar Burton.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? It's a neighborly day in this beauty wood, a neighborly day for a beauty. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? I have always wanted to have a neighbor just like you. I've always wanted to live in a neighborhood with you, so let's make the most of this beautiful day. Since we're together, we might as well say, would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? Won't you please? Won't you please? Please won't you be my neighbor?
For Margaret Ann King, my pole star. The Good Neighbor. There are 3 ways to ultimate success. The first way is to be kind. The second way is to be kind. The third way is to be kind. Fred Rogers. Prologue. A beautiful day. Fred Rogers had given some very specific instructions to David Newell, who handled public relations for the PBS children's show Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Rogers said he wanted no children, absolutely none, to be present when he appeared on the Oprah Winfrey Show in Chicago. No children? How could that be? By the mid-1980s, Rogers was an icon of children's television, known for communicating with his young viewers in the most fundamental and profound way. Why would he want to exclude them from a program showcasing his views on how they should be understood and taught? But Fred Rogers knew himself far better than even friends like Newell, who had worked with him for decades. He knew that if there were children in the studio audience, he wouldn't focus on Winfrey's questions, he wouldn't pay heed to her legion of viewers, and he wouldn't convey the great importance of his work. The children and their needs would come first. He couldn't help it, never could help it. Decades before, Rogers had programmed himself to focus on the needs of little children, and by now he had reached a point at which he could not fail to respond to a child who asked something of him. Anything at all. He asked David Newell, who also played Mr. McFeely, a central character on Rogers' program, to be clear with Winfrey's staff. If there are children in the audience, Fred knows he'll do a poor job of helping Oprah to make the interview a success. But the message wasn't received. When Rogers came before Winfrey's studio audience on a brisk December day in 1985, he found the audience composed almost entirely of families, mainly very young children with their mothers. Winfrey's staff had decided that after she interviewed Rogers, it would be fun to have him take questions from the audience and maybe provide some guidance to mothers. And he certainly tried, telling them that to understand children, I think the best that we can do is to think about what it was like for us. But the plan didn't succeed. As soon as the children started to ask him questions directly, he seemed to get lost in their world, slowing his responses to their pace and even hunching in his chair as if to insinuate himself down to their level. This wasn't good television, at least good adult television. Everything was going into a kind of slow motion as Fred Rogers became Mr. Rogers, connecting powerfully with the smallest children present. He seemed to forget the camera as he focused on them one by one. Winfrey began to look a little worried. Although she was still about a year away from the national syndication that would make her a superstar, her program was already a big hit.